My great uncle ran for judge in Chicago many years ago, and he lost. He was a Republican in Chicago, so it was kind of a kamikaze mission. But my family's never gotten over that. And so my grandfather, his brother, believed that you weren't really successful as a lawyer unless you were a judge. And so I know I've disappointed him terribly by becoming governor. But maybe when I'm done with this job, I can go on to become a judge, like many of you. I really am thrilled to be with all of you. And like my grandfather, everyone in this room knows that the sanctity and the power of the law is so important. In addition to being jurists, you are dedicated public servants. And I know that you strive every day to make the best possible decisions with justice and fairness in mind. And I'm really grateful for the service of all the judges who are here today. Thank you very much for what you do. I want to speak for a few minutes about the work of the branch of government that I'm responsible for currently, and that's the executive branch. I came into this office, as some of you know, with an ambitious agenda, pursuing a series of wide-ranging policy objectives, but all coalesced around the simple goal of putting Illinois' government back on the side of working families, standing up for their rights, and establishing a stable fiscal future for our state so that all of our people can thrive. In short, my agenda is to ensure that our laws reflect our values in this state, that we live up to our obligations to deliver social justice and economic justice to all of our residents, to address infrastructure needs, to produce balanced budgets, to deliver a quality education to every child, no matter the color of their skin or the zip code that they live in. So in partnership with the General Assembly, we've begun transforming our state into one of the most forward-thinking and economically prosperous and innovative in the nation. I know that the job that I took was to turn this ship of state, this aircraft carrier, in the right direction and then propel it in that direction, and that's what we're trying to do. But it's only made possible because the General Assembly and I and the elected officials are listening to each other, compromising where necessary. Compromise is not a dirty word. It's okay to compromise. And understanding that we'll move ahead at a faster clip if we move past partisanship and past all the rancor that we've seen, frankly, currently in Washington, D.C. and in the past here in Illinois, and instead commit all of us to working together. So for too many years, though, some people have made a career out of running down this state. They've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on TV and countless column inches in the newspapers, and too much of their time and ours attacking everything about Illinois. Why? Because it's their only path to power. And 5 years ago, they succeeded for one brief moment in gaining a foothold in the governor's office. So for 4 years, even the guy running the state was telling all of us just how awful our state was. The thing is, they all have it wrong. We have our challenges. There's no doubt about it. I'm not ignoring those challenges. There's no doubt. But boy, oh boy, Illinois has an awful lot to be proud of. We have 30 of the nation's Fortune 500 companies headquartered right here in our state, and we're the #1 destination for corporate relocations. We produce the second largest number of computer science degrees in the nation in Illinois, and we're the nation's 3rd largest college town in the city of Chicago. We're the nation's largest producers of soybeans and horseradish and pumpkins. And we're the 2nd largest producer of corn. And here's a big one. Today, and I mean now, Illinois has the lowest unemployment rate that it's had in recorded history. And I'm not taking credit for it. I'm just telling you there's an awful lot of great things about the state of Illinois, right? We are moving in the right direction. Things are okay. And we've got a lot of progress that we need to make. We've got challenges, but it's okay. Things are okay. We grew jobs in every region of the state. They break the state up into 14 regions when they make these calculations. Every single region, Southern Illinois, Central Illinois, Western Illinois, every part of Illinois is doing okay, pretty good, going the right direction. So we've got a lot going for us. But I came to this job with a mission of getting us moving again and making our state the greatest state in the nation. I think it is already, but I want everybody else to see it too, and I want us to have the kind of acceleration of all the good things that we want for our state. So I'm not resting on our laurels. This last spring, we passed Rebuild Illinois, which is our state's largest infrastructure program ever, which over the next 6 years will repair what's broken and build what's needed in our state's roads and our bridges, our universities, and our communities. And that program alone will create hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs and will advance our state's infrastructure to among the best in the nation. And that's where it ought to be, because we're the supply chain hub of the nation. That also includes, that same program includes a massive broadband initiative that will bring high-speed internet access to every corner of Illinois, especially in hard-to-reach communities. So many of you don't know that about 90% of the state is covered by, what's considered broadband internet, which is, 10 megabit download, 1 megabit upload. That's considered high speed, or at least it was. It's not really anymore, right? Now it's 100 megabit download and 10 upload. We have work to do to get there, and we need it everywhere. You can't create jobs where there isn't high speed internet. You can't. This is like rural electrification was many years ago. Everybody needs to have it to have economic progress. And as we build an economy that vaults us forward, we're doing it in a way that leaves nobody behind. We also passed a bipartisan and truly balanced budget. Yeah. I was waiting for that. I went to the National Council of State Legislators a few months ago. We had a pretty successful spring session in Springfield, and so I was invited to come talk about what happened in Springfield this last spring. And I stood in Tennessee and Nashville in front of the crowd, and I told them all about what we'd done, and I began with a bipartisan balanced budget was passed in Illinois, and there was complete silence, because that's a usual thing in their states, I guess. And I said, you don't understand, this is Illinois, I got the standing ovation I was hoping for. But that balanced budget actually begins to pay down the $16 billion backlog of bills that was left by the last governor and by the last administration, most of which, as you know, happened just in a few years. In fact, in 2015, that number was $5 billion. By nearly the end of the last term, it was $16.7 billion. We've made a lot of progress. We've refinanced. I'm not sure if that's real progress. We didn't pay down the bills, really. We just refinanced it, thank goodness, to lower our interest expense. But it's progress nonetheless. And now, with this bipartisan balanced budget, we're beginning to actually have minor surpluses so that we can begin to pay the bills down. My budget, the one that I proposed and the one that we got passed, focused our limited resources on investing in things that will bring Illinois long-term success, because we have to stop thinking about one-year increments. And, we're passing one-year budgets, but we have to start thinking about what does the future look like 10 years from now and 20 years from now? What are we doing now so that things will be better 10 years from now? And I'll just mention one thing to you, a little off script, because I think it's really exciting. And something that you may not have paid attention to, but there is a competition in the world today for the next big leap in technology, and that's quantum computing. It's not just replacing the computer that's on your desktop. This is something that's going to determine, honestly, what nation is going to lead, what nations are going to lead in the world over the next 50 years, and which ones are going to be left out and left behind. If we don't get this right in the United States, we're going to be a third world nation. And so Illinois starts out with some pretty good resources for vaulting the United States ahead. And the United States government has big grant money available to bring to the effort because it's so important for our national security. And so we, in our infrastructure bill, allowed for $100 million for the Chicago Quantum Exchange, which brings the University of Illinois and its amazing computing resources together with the University of Chicago, our two national laboratories, as well as surrounding universities. Because I think Illinois should be the next Silicon Valley for quantum. It's going to take a few years, and it will likely beyond when I am governor. But it is very important for us to make these kinds of investments so that, again, a decade from now, we'll look back and say, we did the right thing, and the economy is booming because we're a hub for what is the next generation of technology and startups and new businesses. So that's one example of what we were trying to do in making those kinds of investments. It also means strengthening our investments in education and healthcare. Again, long-term investments, very important. Education, if you ask any governor or go around the nation, ask any of the researchers, education is the best investment government can make, and we're doing that. But we're also fulfilling the basic needs of our court system in this budget. We're beginning to actually fund it properly. And it's, of course, today we have too few judges. Yep. We have insufficient staff and security, and we lack funding for court-appointed attorneys, and it's a detriment, frankly, to our society that we're not doing this right. We're getting to where we are doing it right, and this is to the judges in the room. You are a co-equal branch of government, and it's an attack on equal justice when we're not funding you properly. And this is not pandering. It is very important to me because you've heard that the basis of my governorship, the thing that I cared about most is justice. It's what I was brought up to believe. It's part of my religion. It's part of what I think it makes a great society, right? True justice. And you can't have true justice without a great judicial system. During the last veto session, this last month, we were able to do something that has evaded 13 governors and 35 general assemblies for nearly 75 years. And that's that we consolidated the hundreds of police and fire pension funds that have weighed on property taxpayers in the suburbs and downstate. This demonstration of responsible government, just a beginning when it comes to pensions, but this demonstration will likely result in billions of dollars in savings for taxpayers throughout the state. And yes, it wasn't, you think about state government, is it our job to fix the pensions in cities across the state? Well, this is the thing that really bothered me about at least the last governor. It seems like it was about shifting responsibility and not about taking responsibility. That state government, when you're the governor of the state, you're the governor also of all the people who live in every municipality around the state. So it's our job to work on these things together, and I'm proud that we were able to get that done. It is truly responsible government. It helps us live up to the promises that were made to retirees who dedicated their careers to serving the people of Illinois at the municipal level. Extraordinarily important to all of us. We have more to do to shore up our state's pension systems, and I'm committed to doing that, but I feel really positive about the difference that we've made so far. More to come. We've made massive strides toward balancing our state's finances and laying the foundation for real success for our state for decades to come. There's, like I said, a lot of work still to do, but together we will build a state that truly serves as a beacon for families and for businesses, and a state that I know we can all be proud of. I want to thank all of you for your service, the attorneys in the room, the judges in the room, all of you who truly serve the cause of justice in our state. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.